Hi, I'm Pam Martin, the Education Specialist for KDWPT here at the Kansas Wetlands Education Center. And today I'm in the lab area where we grow some of the plants for our pollinator wildflower garden. And that's why I'm here today, is to give you a couple of ideas, simple, fun ideas to use as some learning opportunities for your kids. And the one has to do with Mother's Day, and the other is an experiment with some seeds that you can eat. Well, not the seeds, but the fruit later. So these are the Z seeds, zinnia and zucchini. And zinnia is a wonderful pollinator flower. The butterflies love it. Butterflies like a big flat platform for their long gangly legs to land on to sit nectar. And of course, when they do that, they get pollen on their feet, and then they transport that to other zinnias, and that's the way they pollinate. But zinnias also attract a lot of bees. Also, zinnias are perfect because in the language of flowers, they mean lasting affection and remembrance. And what could be better for Mother's Day? So I'm going to give you a couple of planting tips so you are successful. I'm going to get my gloves on here because I don't like to have black fingernails. So your soil is the first thing when you're starting seeds. Very important. You can use a seed starting mix, which I highly recommend, but really any potting soil will work as long as it doesn't have big chunks of bark in it. So when you buy it, make sure that it has a fine texture to it so that the little seeds can get up through the soil. Because a seed is just a baby plant in a box with some food. And that varies from plant to plant. And we'll get to that with the experiment. But back to the zinnias. So, several types of containers you can plant in. You can actually use egg cartons and recycle. Now, your zinnias aren't going to be that big in 3 weeks, but they'll be big enough to transplant. Zinnias are very hardy. That's another reason I recommend them. Even if they get knocked off, which ours did back in the hailstorm last year, they just branched off from where they were cut and had multiple flowers. Instead of 2, they had 3 or 4. It was great. So you can just use some scissors. Kids can help with this too. Cut the little individual egg cups out and then put your little bit of soil in. Another thing that is great if you want to spend the money are these peat pots. Now you can't, one caveat to this is don't plant the whole thing. Even though this will biodegrade eventually, it's not going to let the little roots from your seedling come through very easily, and your plant might die. But these do. There's plenty of room there for the roots to grow, and these will decompose fairly quickly. In fact, I've got mine fairly wet and they're already kind of starting to tear. Or you can go back to plastic, and plastic is okay, but it's not good for our planet, is it? So I prefer using these others. But we're going to use this because it's what I've got empty right now. So first, you put water in your soil and make sure that you make it nice and wet, but not sopping wet. You don't want it so wet that you can go like that and have water. Now I've got a little bit right there, but I'm really squeezing. So you want it nice and damp, but not sopping wet. Okay, so then you put some soil about halfway in and push it, just firmly. Don't pack it, but push it firmly. And then fill it up and push that down till you have about, a quarter of an inch below the top of your little cell there. These are called 6-packs, and each one is called a cell. Then you get your zinnia seeds out, and zinnias come in a lot of different hybrids, anywhere from 16 inches to 3 feet high. Doesn't really matter. They do great in containers too. You don't have to have a lot of room. They're wonderful in mass plantings, and they come in a variety of flower colors. So I'm going to get a few out here. One thing is, if you can, get a hybrid that's resistant to powdery mildew. That's about the only thing that they really are susceptible to. So in each cell then you're going to put 2 seeds. That way, 2 or 3, it's up to you, but that way you'll make sure that you have a couple that germinate. Then you're just going to take a little more soil, put it on top, and just very lightly pack it. Okay, that's all there is to it. And then you do as many of these as you like plants. Now, a lot of people water from the top. That dislodges your seed. So what I found with my experience is you can get a tray, and it can be a roaster tray like this. It could be a disposable plastic tray, and you just keep reusing it for this type of thing. So you put your cells, line them up in your tray, whatever you're using, and then you add about 1/4 of an inch of water. So what you're doing is you're watering from the bottom instead of the top. It works beautifully. If you like, you can, again, it's plastic, but you can put a light covering of plastic wrap over your packs or whatever you're using to put your seeds in. Put it in a sunny window, and in 2 to 3 days, you should have little seedlings coming up. They should be germinated. Keep a close eye on it, because as soon as they germinate, you want to get that plastic off of there. Leave it in your sunny window. Keep checking, make sure that it's moist. Again, not sopping wet. You don't want to overwater, but just add a little water from the bottom. And that's really all there is to it. And then in 3 weeks, you should be able to go out and transplant those plants. Oh, thinning. If you would get 2 or 3 seedlings per cell, what they say to do is just snip off the 1 or the 2 to leave the strongest one. If you try pulling it out, you might destroy the roots of all of them. So if you just snip it, those roots will die off and they won't hurt the other plant. Okay, now we're going to go on to our experiment. I chose zucchini for our experiment because it's a large seed. It's easy for little fingers to use. And you can also have it, before you even start, investigate the seed. Help them cut it open, see if they can find the baby inside the seed and some food. So remember, a seed is just a baby plant in a box with some food. And what we're going to do an experiment about is that box, the seed coat. Seed coats vary depending on the plant. Like avocados have a very thin seed coat. It's just like paper because they grow in tropical conditions. And they don't need much of a seed coat because when they start to grow, it's almost immediate. Whereas a coconut has a very thick seed coat because when it drops from the palm onto the beach, the tide comes in, takes it out in the ocean, it floats for up to a month in the ocean. That seed coat protects it from the ocean water. Okay, so all that to get to the fact that with zucchini, that's a pretty hard seed coat. So the experiment is, what would happen if you soaked the seed for, say, an hour, and then 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 16 hours, which would germinate or grow more quickly? So, really easy to set up. You've got a bowl from your kitchen cupboard, just put some warm water in it, drop, it depends how many repeats you want to do of this experiment. I chose 2, but put your seeds, label your bowl, 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hours, 16 hours, however many treatments you would like to do with the children. Then you soak them, and you start with your longest and then work your way up so that you can plant them all at the same time. And then you have to have a control. Control is a treatment, or it's that's planting the seeds without a treatment, because you have to have something to compare it to. And these are all things that you can talk to the kids about. And at the end of the video, there'll be a materials list and also some vocabulary words that you might want to work with the children about too. So after they're done soaking, you can use little jiffy cups, little tiny cups. Just make sure that you remember to put some holes in the bottom. And I just use a little screwdriver. It works perfectly, or you could use a nail. Kids could have fun doing that too. Get those ready. Again, you just, like you did for the zinnias, fill it about halfway full, press lightly down. Oh, and an old kitchen spoon works great. There's a use for everything. I'm not a hoarder, really. Okay. So this time though, put it, maybe about a ½ inch down, because you're going to want to cover zucchini seeds with a little more soil. Then we're going to plant our control, which you have marked the little cup with a seed, and then 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hours, so that you don't get them mixed up. And put the soil over, just lightly pat. So that's your control. Then we're going to go to a 1 hour. Same type of thing. Put your soil in there, a ½ inch from the top. And you can also have the kids look at the seeds after they've been in the water for that length of time and see, does that seed coat look different than the one that hasn't soaked? Maybe. Okay, so then we put our light soil on top, and then you proceed on down the line. And you put them in your tray again. You water from the bottom at this point to get them germinated. Put them in a sunny window, and then comes the hard part, because you've got to remember to check them probably a couple of times a day, because there might not be a lot of difference. In other words, it might just be hours of difference in when they germinate, or there might not be any difference at all. Have to wait and see. What's fun, another fun thing, the kids can make a chart. Put at the top, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then your treatment, control, 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour. And they can record that. They can also draw what they're seeing. Here's the seed, the zucchini seed before it's planted, and they could draw one that's been in the water. They could draw what they found inside the seed. And then as the seed sprouts, what's it look like? To have a little stalk and 2 first leaves that are called cotyledons. And then eventually you get true leaves. Another reason I picked zucchini is it's like the miracle fruit, okay? You can bake it, you can fry it, you can stuff it, you can put it in cakes, muffins, cookies. So what I'm hoping is that you'll take your seeds and plant them. Now, if you don't have a big yard, because the variety I picked was Black Beauty, and it vines everywhere, you can get a hybrid that is specifically been grown or hybridized to grow in a container. And you'll get zucchini that the kids can then cook with. How much better than that can you get? Okay, so to summarize, plant some zinnias for Mother's Day, and then on Mother's Day in 3 weeks, you can plant them with the kids, and then watch and see when you get bees and butterflies come to pollinate and sip the nectar. Have an experiment using zucchini seeds to determine, can you soak that seed and break down that seed coat a little bit so you get better germination? And how long would it take? Or is there any difference at all? And as I said, at the end of the video, there'll be some materials list and also some vocabulary for the kids. Enjoy and have a wonderful Mother's Day. Thank you.